Paul Mitchell The Color is a low ammonia permanent cream hair color.
It's formulated with natural ingredients such as sustainable, ethically sourced beeswax for a thick, creamy consistency that imparts long-lasting shine and color that fades on tone.
Get maximum value by using as a permanent, demi-permanent, or semi-permanent color when switching developers and changing timing. Paul Mitchell The Color is effortless and reliable. The color is beautiful and the coverage is stable.
Complements blondes with Highlifts and Ultra Toner series.
Up to 100% gray coverage with a dedicated N+ and Chocolate Plus series.
Color with confidence.
Enjoy more during this introductory class with Paul Mitchell The Color.
Let's talk about the uniqueness of Paul Mitchell The Color. So let's talk about calibrated ammonia versus traditional ammonia. What is calibrated ammonia? Calibrated ammonia is a consistent amount of ammonia in every single tube. This allows for consistency, intermixability, and predictable end results. Because of the calibrated ammonia, this allows us to maximize one tube of color in 3 ways. So let's visit that a little bit. We can actually have a permanent hair color, a demi-permanent hair color, and a semi-permanent hair color. So let's talk a little bit about how that works. So with permanent hair color, we have the option of using 20 volume on dry hair for 1 to 2 levels of lift, 35-minute process. For 2 to 3 levels of lift, we can go with 30 volume developer for 35 minutes on dry hair. And for a maximum lift of 3 levels, we can use 40 volume developer, dry hair for 35 minutes. For demi-permanent, we're gonna do 5 volume developer, and we're gonna have damp hair, and we're gonna process for 20 minutes. And for semi-permanent hair color, we're gonna go in with 10 volume on damp hair for 10 minutes. So let's take a quick look at how permanent, demi, and semi look on some swatches. Here's our 3 examples of one color with permanent, demi, and semi. We used our 7OR in The Color, Paul Mitchell The Color, and this gives us our permanent. So this is 20 volume on dry hair for 35 minutes, and you can see the depth and the richness in that color. This is our demi-permanent, 7OR Paul Mitchell The Color, with 5 volume for 20 minutes. And you can see how it has a little bit more lightness as a demi would. And with our semi-permanent, this is 10 volume on damp hair for 10 minutes, and you can see that softness to it. Now, the main portion of this is that the longevity is gonna be less. A semi is gonna be a little less, a demi is gonna be a little more, and our permanent is gonna have the most longevity. Because of these 3 options, I like to really look at my guests and think about what's the best option and what's the best time to use those. So being able to do permanent hair color, I can do all of my retouches, I can do my all over virgin hair colors, but also sometimes I just need to refresh the ends. And as you saw with that semi-permanent, it allows me to just add a little bit of life back into the hair where it's faded out a little. If you're in an area where you got a lot more sun and that hair is fading a lot more, maybe you need to go with your demi choice and get a little more oomph back into those ends to just liven it back up. So those 3 options really set me up to win in the salon based off of whatever the guest's needs are. But now there's more. Let's talk about our Highlifts and our Ultra Toners. We have options to be able to expand our color portfolio. So using our Highlifts colors, this gives us the ability to take a level 6 natural canvas and lift it up to 4 levels maximum lift. If I'm at a level 6 and going for those 4 levels of lift, I might want to work with a 1-to-1 ratio so that I can get that little extra tonal deposit and the lift. If I'm working with a level 7, 8, and up, I might want to work with a 1-to-2 so I have a little less tonal deposit, but I still get that same amount of lift that I need. With our Ultra Toners, we're working with 5 volume on damp hair. Now these are toners that are working at a level 10. They're gonna impact a level 9, but they're to finish off those gorgeous blondes that we've created. Let's look at some of our examples of what we've done with some of the Ultra Toners and some of our lower levels to be able to tone out blonde. So as you see here, this is our original canvas of which we've put the colors on. We've used our UTP, and you can see how it takes all the warmth away, giving us a great cool end result. Our next is our 9A. So that shows you the depth, and you can see that little bit of overpowering of the blue that comes in over top of that level 10. Next is our 9P. So you can see how this has cooled it out, and it's made it a little more of that neutral feel to really get rid of all of that warmth and keep us at a level 9. So last is our 7PN, and you can just see the amount of depth that it creates going over top of the blonde. Now the bonus here is that we have the low ammonia with the beeswax base that allows us to keep this hair in great condition using those 7, 8s, and 9 as toners. Now that we've walked through how we can go permanent, demi, and semi, and utilizing that low ammonia and beeswax base for the great creamy consistency, we also have some options to be able to personalize your texture and your mixture of the color. We have a cream developer and a clear developer. So we can mix with cream to have that thicker, nice, rich consistency. And I love that in scenarios where I have finer hair and I really need it to stay in place. Or I'm doing block colors or panels of color and I want to gather that hair together and have that stay. I can also mix it with our clear developer. This is gonna give me a softer, looser, creamier texture, and it allows me to really work that product through the hair more. So when I have high density of hair, I can work that through a lot easier. When I'm trying to tone hair and it's damp and I'm in the wash house, I'm able to go through and work that through the hair a little easier. So utilizing our cream developer and our clear developer allows us to personalize and really give us that end result that we're looking for. Now that you understand the uniqueness of Paul Mitchell The Color with the calibrated ammonia and beeswax base, let's talk about one of the #1 money makers in the salon, gray coverage. When we look at gray coverage, there's 3 categories that we're gonna pay attention to, and they're percentages of gray. We're looking at 25 to 50% gray, 50 to 75% gray, and 75 to 100% gray. This allows us to pay attention to what colors we need to formulate and how we need to add in our brown base to be able to create maximum gray coverage. So when we look at the percentages of gray, we want to look at how much of our brown base we're going to add into our tone that we want to see within the hair. When we deal with 25 to 50% gray, we're going to add 1 part of our brown base and 3 parts of our tonal base, or 1 part of our brown base and 2 parts of our tonal base, depending on how close we are to 25 and how close we are to 50. When we look at 50% to 75% gray, we're looking at 1 part of our brown base and 2 parts of our tonal base, or 1 to 1 of our brown base and our tonal base, depending on how close we are to 50% or how close we are to 75%. And when we look at 75% to 100% gray, now we're in our 1 to 1 ratio of brown base to tonal base, or 2 parts of our brown base to 1 part of our tonal base. With all these percentages of gray, we're always using 20 volume developer to get maximum gray coverage. Because of our low calibrated ammonia, we need to make sure we have 20 volume to get that lift and deposit that we need with our gray coverage. Now that we've talked about the percentages, let's look at a couple swatches and see some formulas that we've put together. I used Paul Mitchell The Color 6R straight. So you can see the vibrancy, you can see the red, but it also has a little bit of hollowness to it. Some guests might love it, but I might need to have a little more depth to give the longevity of that gray coverage. So when I look at this next scenario, this is 6N Paul Mitchell The Color in the right ratios for a percentage of gray with 6R. So you can see that it now has a little more depth to it. My next is 6N plus with 6R in the right ratios, and this gives me even more depth. And next to that is 6CH plus with the 6R from Paul Mitchell The Color. So you can see with these two, it gives us lots of depth, which is gonna give more longevity to that gray coverage. So when you're dealing with resistant and strong gray hair, these are gonna be your best choices for maximum coverage. You can add more 6R to get a little more vibrancy, more of our pure tones to get more vibrancy, but when we come back here, you can see that less depth is created by using my N series. I could use NB or NN as well. And if I just want to go straight with my pure tones, I can just get that tone directly on the 100%, 75%, 50% gray hair and not have as much depth to it as well. Now that you have what you need to get started with Paul Mitchell The Color, understanding the low calibrated ammonia, how that impacts us for our choices for a permanent color, a demi-permanent color, or a semi-permanent color, understanding how to maximize our moneymaker in the salon of gray coverage and getting the maximum gray coverage that we need in all ranges using our pure tones, our blends, or our naturals intermixed with our plus series. to be able to maximize gray coverage, and understanding how we can utilize more levels to get the tones that we want for depths of cool and lightness, our ultra toners, our Highlifts. These are all the things that are gonna support you in being better with your business. And for all other things that you need with Paul Mitchell The Color, visit us at paulmitchell.com to get everything that you need to support you best in your business.